Starting with your legs up the wall, making sure your tailbone is reaching down into the floor so you feel a bit of heaviness with your tailbone. Arms can be wherever you want them to be, but as long as your body's starting to feel relaxed and a sort of heaviness down into the floor. And just start breathing, sending your breath into your pelvic floor, taking big inhales and imagining that pelvic floor lowering on your inhale. And then exhale, still no contraction, you're just releasing. Big inhale, feeling a nice release through the pelvic floor. It's very relaxed. And blowing all that air out. And do just a few more breaths. Feeling a nice relaxation in your body. Tailbone heavy into the floor. Feeling that you still have a bit of a neutral spine, so some space between your back and the floor. And just start to connect with that feeling of releasing, letting go through your pelvic floor muscles. And then you're going to open your legs up wider to where you still feel comfortable. Relaxing your feet. And you could even use the visual of the clock as your pelvic floor. So 12 being your pubic bone, 6 being your tailbone, and 3 and 9 off to the side. And as you breathe in, imagine that you're creating space and lengthening between the 12 o'clock and the 6 o'clock. Breathe into that space. And when you blow all the air out, stay relaxed. Take another breath, creating space. And you can also imagine the numbers 9 and 3 off to the sides. And when you're breathing in, you're creating space between 3 and 9. So you're widening that space. Three and 9 are like where your sit bones are, so you could be creating space in between your sit bones. As you inhale, getting a little wider through there, opening up a bit more, and as you exhale, blowing the air out, staying relaxed. Gonna take a few more breaths there. You could spend as much time as you want in any position. You could work your way around the clock, breathing in at the number 1, taking 1 to 3 breaths there, then going to number 2. And then see if you can bring your focus back to those 4 numbers, 12 and 6, 3 and 9. And as you breathe in, just imagine each of those 4 numbers reaching out to the sides and up and down, creating a bit more space in your pelvic floor. And then when you're ready, bring the soles of your feet together so your knees stay wide, you're comfortable and relaxed. And keep breathing. Your focus is to release and let go through the pelvic floor. On your inhale, staying relaxed on your exhale. And you can still use any visual you want, or nothing at all, whatever works better for you. Try the flower visual. It's a closed flower, and that is your pelvic floor. On each inhale, imagine one petal opening. And then on your exhale, it stays open. And then on your next inhale, a second petal opens. And on your exhale, it stays open. Try a few more breaths just like that. Still feeling a nice heaviness of your body into the floor. Knees are comfortably falling out to the side. Tailbone is still connected to the floor. And your flower continues to open petal by petal. One more nice big breath, breathing right down into the pelvic floor, so belly moves and opens up, and the air goes right down into the pelvic floor. Then you're going to wiggle your body back just a little bit. Some people will need to move back a little bit more, and others not so much. And have your soles of your feet flat on the wall, taking a bit more space in between your feet so you have room for your knees to fall in towards each other and your knees to open out to the sides. And if you move a little further back, you'll have even more room for your knees to go in and out. I'm just going to stay here right now though. And I want you to work with your breath still. As your knees are coming in towards each other, I want you to inhale. And as you exhale, letting the knees move out to the side. So you're moving your hips, hip bone in the socket, moving one of the small pelvic floor muscles at the same time, giving it a bit of a release and a little bit of shortening as your knees go out to the side. Good, do a few more breaths. Trying to keep your tailbone nice and heavy as your hips roll in and out. So this is just a little bit more dynamic movement with your breath. And one more. And then soles of the feet stay on the wall. You might be okay here, or you might need to wiggle back even further. And then we're going to go into a little bit of a glute stretch. So reaching one ankle on top of that knee. It's important to keep that bit of a neutral spine and tailbone nice and heavy. And you want to feel a nice stretch through your glutes on the bent leg side where the ankle is up on the knee. And then I want you to think about breathing into your buttock muscles, letting the pelvic floor lower, and imagine where the sit bones are as you inhale, creating space between your sit bones as they move further away from each other. keep imagining that you're breathing right down into the pelvic floor, so you're still releasing. And then just take one more breath there, blowing all that air out before switching sides. Bringing your other ankle up on top of that knee. And you will probably find one side's going to be tighter than the other. That's okay, just go to where you're comfortable. You feel a bit of a stretch, but there is nothing painful. And breathe, releasing into those glutes. They do a lot of work with the pelvic floor as well, so we want to make sure that rear pelvic floor is released as well. Breathe in and create space between your sit bones. And then just take one more nice big breath, releasing, tailbone still nice and heavy. And then both soles of the feet back on the wall, and just bring your knees to your chest. And breathe. Releasing into that pelvic floor and staying there, stretching out your lower back for as long as you need to.